Dear friends, we are all into this mindful breath meditation, the easy Anapanasati meditation in a group meditation, by the simple technique of observing our own natural breath. With each and every breath, dear masters, we are connecting deeper and deeper with our beautiful self. Becoming one with our breath is the one and only goal we all have right now. Be with your breath and enjoy it as you inhale that in breath, the cool air which passes inside your body. Travel along with your breath. Feel the goodness your breath brings in along with it. Relax. Relax your whole body. Feel that absolute amazing energy in each and every cell of your miraculous body. Observing our breath teaches us a beautiful lesson of staying in the present moment. We can neither breathe for our past nor for the future. Our breath reminds us to be with the present. Be with your breath. Observe that your breath is becoming more smoother, more gentler, more rhythmic, and more easy. The world around us is just a reflection of the world inside of us. Fill your inside world with love, happiness, joy, peace, harmony, and bring out all those positive vibrations as you breathe out a gentle breath. Send out that energy messages of love, peace, and joy as you breathe out to all the fellow beings around you, all the things around you, to the whole globe. Let us all vibrate with the higher energies and elevate ourselves with greater understanding and learnings. The more we meditate, the more we can feel that our body, our mind, and our soul are being aligned to each other. Enjoy your breath as you witness this wonder happen. We spread that wonderful message of love with a simple understanding that we are that love we are looking for all around us. Feel that loving energy radiating from deep inside you. Be with our breath. Breathe in, breathe out gently. Last 30 seconds, dear masters. Continue to observe your breath. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, gently place both your hands on your eyes for a few seconds and open your eyes whenever you're ready with that most loving smile on your face. Hope you all had a beautiful meditation, dear masters. Thank you all.
Very nice meditation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for this wonderful meditation. Thank you all the masters who have joined today for the 8th day session, Ethical and Yogic Excellence Level 1 in meditation, 8th day. So with humble gratitude to Brahmarshi Subhash Patriji, founder of Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement, I request now Dr. Rompa sir to take the today's class. Thank you, sir. Please continue.
Okay. Thank you, Koteshwaraji. Thank you, Anantiji, for your melodious meditation session, as usual.
Thank you, sir.
Fine. Yeah. I extend a great welcome to all the masters for this spiritual science education program. My dear masters, meditation is the highly essential requirement of everybody's life. whether you know it or not. That is your requirement. And when once we do not have that, we are going to be the losers to that extent. I would like to make it a point, essentially for all the masters, all the society, in total the whole society, to recognize the importance of meditation as early as possible and bring it into their regular lifestyle, daily routines of the everyday routines of their life. Okay, this is one of the important factors that directs your life towards easy as well as happy conduct of life. However, various aspects of meditation that flow into the spiritual science, we have to be aware of that. One of such subjects that breeds from the science of meditation is our own conduct. Spiritual as well as physical conduct of our life is the foundation for your well-being in the physicality as well as in the spiritual path are equally important. The physical conduct, the code of conduct, the performance of each individual is regulated by a set of spiritual as well as physical laws. There are certain code of conduct is there. In order to make our life a regulated one, in order to make it enjoyable enough, in order to make it meaningful, we have to follow. It is for our convenience, it is brought out. If it is optional for you, you can follow or you need not follow. If we do not follow, then we will be losing the purpose of our life. If we follow, then we will complete the purpose of our life and we'll go for next higher consciousness. So that is the essence of spiritual science. If you are associating yourself with the spiritual science, you will be for the next higher consciousness, eligibility will gain. And knowing higher worlds, and knowing higher truths of the universal facts, we have to know more and more and more the experiences, more and more the knowledges you are procuring that is helpful for the good in the physical as well as spiritual realms of our own extended life activities. My dear masters, past and present are very essential for building the future. The future will be always a reflection of what you do and what you do not do. If you do something better, you will be getting the better future. If you are lacking in your own doing, then definitely your future also will not be very, very scarce, not going. It is as simple as possible. So this sort of science is known as cause and effect. Science of cause and effect. Whatever you do and what you are going to get. Cause and effect of it. In Sanskrit, this is called as law of karma. Karma is used to indicate the conduct of your life. Anything, everything that you do with your physical existence, physical body, anything that manifests out of your physical personality comes under karma. That shows thinking, speaking, and doing. All the three are in the orbit of karma. Even if you think wrong in the mind, it will have its repercussion because it is a karma. You have thought something that stands to reflect again in your own experiences. It should be experienced. If you are not manifesting, you are only simply at the thought level, then you will also receive the same thing at the thought level, the repercussion also. You understand? And if while speaking, if you do something, you have to experience that. Same thing while doing also. Whatever you do, you have to experience that. Nothing else will come. This is what is known as law of karma, cause and effect. Whatever you do, you will get the result of that. Like a sapling of rose flower, you will get a rose flower, not sunflower. You will not get any other flower. It goes by the seed, what you are selecting. It goes by your own action, what the result you are selecting. That is there for us. My dear masters, we'll just try to find out some more aspects of this wonderful law of karma, where it is very easy for us, it is only our own actions that we have to experience, not somebody's actions, Our own actions are within our control, and we have to experience the good means it is for you to do the good work. There is nobody in this field of law of cause and effect, nobody. So there is no question of any blame game here. So it is very wonderful law of karma that is confined to your own actions. We must be actually thankful for this arrangement. Otherwise, everybody's karma will have to bear. That is not. That goes heavily on us. So this is a very beautiful balancing act on our own actions only are basis for our own experiences. This is wonderful law. Now we'll go into further aspects of this life by means of slides I have brought for you. By sharing the screen, I will put it before you. My dear masters, I think you have the wider screen for you to see, where PSS Movement Global as well as PSS Academy Global, jointly take the responsibility of spreading meditation and spiritual science across the globe. And we have the emblem as it is. Every day we have to check up so that the central idea, the whole theme of spiritual science is embedded into three topics. All spiritual science is packed up in these three words. What are those things? Love, light, and power. Love means noble values, always going for unity and harmony, coexistence. And light is the decoding the right from the wrong and following the right path always, making a right choice in the life. And third factor is power, understanding your own magnanimous power, that you are sufficient for yourself and nothing else is there to support, not necessary to support you. You can stand on your own legs and can be helpful to everybody around you. So this is the eternal truth. The three things are there. One is loving personality, another one is wise personality, another one is helping personality. So this all the three form part of the whole lot of science, spiritual science. And today's topic under ethical and yogic excellence course, karmic excellence, let us see. Karmic excellence is in Sanskrit, the term is translated into yoga, karmasu kaushalam. Excellence in your karma, that is kaushalam. The Sanskrit word is more comprehensive than the English word. Kaushalam means, it has got two meanings. In English, there is only one meaning. Law of excellence. What is the excellence in English normally? It's a perfectness, Excellence means doing a work 100% correct, without any flaw. That is called excellence. The same word, if it goes in Sanskrit, kaushalam. First meaning, kaushalam means it is kushagra buddhi, that is sharpness in the mind. Kaushalatvam. Okay, it is called sharpness in the mind. That is excellence without any flaw, thinking pattern while doing work. That is fine. That is the meaning of excellence in English also. And one more meaning from kaushalam is kushalatvam also is there. Kaushalatvam and kushalatvam both form kaushalam. Okay. Kushalatvam means what? Kushala means welfare. Are you happy? Yes. Happiness. Any work should be giving you happiness. Any work should be done with happiness. That is, willingly you should do that work. First thing is you should apply your mind, and second one is you apply your heart also. Both are included in the kaushalam. So yogaha karmasu kaushalam. So yoga means the sort of spiritual life. Spiritual life is called yoga. You understand? What is spiritual life? Having three contents: love, light, and power. Kindly don't forget about it. Love, light, and power. All the three put together form part of spiritual life. So that kind of life, when you are leading, then your all actions will be giving you both. What is number one is you will be getting excellent work. Number two is you will be doing with high happiness, and that work will not have any kind of flaw at all. And that is called excellent. You are doing wonderfully without any flaw, but you are not willing to do that. Then that work will have a minus point to the extent of your wholeheartedness. That work cannot be totally excellent according to Sanskrit. It can be flawless in terms of excellence, but actually the excellence deserves that you should be willing to do that work. And with willingness, the things will differ. It will have a taste. The work will show the fragrance of your goodness there. And willingly you should do the work. That is called kaushalam. Okay. So, my dear masters, any work you do, you must do willingly. If you are not willing wholeheartedly, then that work, even though it is correct, it will not be tasty in the eyes of others, or it will not be giving good effect of. So that is the reason we should be willing while doing the work. Any work you do, you should love the work. First, you should love the work, then only that work will be top excellent. Otherwise, there will be some sort of shortage in any kind of manner in the eyes of others. Okay. So some people, even though the work is done excellently, if you are not willing to do that work, those people will not accept you. Okay, you have done the good work, but you are not willing. We don't want you to be here. Understand? So this is how we should understand the purpose of kushalatva. Excellence Always just like that is not accepted by the people. My dear masters, kindly understand. Okay, if you want work, no, you throw the work and go away. It's not welcome. You should be willingly do it. Then the people will accept you in total, isn't it? And your work also will be accepted very nicely. And the desired results will be there. That is what we have to understand here. Excellence means skills as well as cheers. Skills and smiles, we'll say. These two are the combination in excellence. You should have sufficient skill in doing it. That is flawlessness. And you should also be having smiling in your face while doing the work. If you are not smiling, if you are very serious, the person who is asking you to get work through you, he will refuse you. Kindly understand that. And your work will be hopeless. It will not be accepted. Though it is perfect, it is not accepted. That's what I wanted to make it very clear, very clear, very clear, the differences between skill and smiling. Okay. And further definition, we go with this. In very less time and less cost, deriving more and better outcome, with all head and heart of love, is called excellence. That is called kushalam, skills and smiles. You understand? So the excellence includes the perfectness in time, perfectness in cost, see, and perfectness in the outcome, and perfectness in the quality, perfectness in the quantity, perfectness with your willingness. That is also most important, with your willingness. When all these things is available and put at performing the work, that work is called excellent work. So in short, it should have skills and smiles. And what is the purpose of your life? Purpose of your life, kindly understand, kindly be attentive. Doing your job is a service to the society. Whatever job you do it, even your cooking, your whatever work you are doing for your own sake, that also is a service to the society. So doing work is a must, and doing work is my work and your work. There is no difference. Any work is okay for us. Work is work. It has got a ripple effect, If you do the work and your work will not get stopped, yes or no? If you stop your work, then that work will have to be done by somebody else. And the work of that somebody else also will get affected. That will be taking another person, like that. It will have a ripple effect. And at the end, there will be some sort of shortage. So work is the purpose of life. Whenever you are taking birth, it does mean that you start working. This is karma bhumi, and karma is the ultimate target of everybody's life. If you are not working, if you are not doing any job, either your or somebody's job, no, doesn't matter, then that shows that if you are idle, then what happens, the nature disqualifies you to live. The nature will not allow you to be with the life. Immediately it will cut short your life. That means you will lose your physical body if you are idle anymore. So if you are not doing any work, you are unfit to live. That is the central idea of this rule. We are unfit to live if we do not work. It is not that for money or some such thing. It is not that for enjoyment or some such thing. All these things you forget, my dear masters. First, you should do the work. Only to live at least. If you want to have breathing for a certain time, you have to keep working with your physical body. So that is the law of karma says, that is the karma. You have to do, there is no question of escape here. It's a must for you to do the work. Otherwise, you will die. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmanjahi akarmanaha sarira yatra pina prasiddhayet akarmanaha. Akarmanaha means those people who are not working, they are disqualified. Sharira Yatra will not be there for them. That is, the body will not sustain for long. It will vanish. It will die. So this is the dictum from spiritual science. My dear masters, kindly understand that. Keep doing, keep doing, keep doing always. And the doctrine of karma is law of karma is one of the fundamental doctrines of all religions. Every religion goes for only karma. As a man sows, so shall he reap. This is the law of karma. Whatever you sow, that you will reap it. That's what I have already explained to you. Destiny is created by man's thoughts, habits, and character. And whatever you think, that will be your future. Your character also is built by that. There is every chance for his correction and improvement by changing his thoughts and habits. Suppose if your thoughts are not okay, then you have to change. Then there is provision with you. You can change. You have a choice of thoughts. A scoundrel can become a saint. A beggar can become a king. The mighty law provides for all this. See, law of karma helps us in such a giant way. You know, what is that? Even a fool can become a wise person, can become a saint, can become a wise man. Brahmagnani he can become. You understand? He can become Brahmarshi, a useless person in the beginning. He become. A sage was there in the mythological stories. So Valmiki is there, you know. Valmiki was earlier a sort of a murderer, you know, with a bad character. And then he turned to be a saint. He turned to be a great author of Ramayana. Okay. So like that. Anguli Mala, a great robber, a murderer, he became a follower of Buddha. How? It is possible. That is called the law of karma. It provides to you because your thoughts can be changed and your destiny can change. So this is provided in the law of karma. As you change, your karma also you should change. That's automatically you will get a change in the future. The change is possible of thoughts. Choice is given to you. Free will is there with us, everyone. You can change your choice of thoughts at any point of time. And karmic divisions, you know, we have got 3 divisions in karma. What is that? Current karmas. Kriyamana karma in Sanskrit, we call them current karmas. Whatever karmas, you know, you are doing in day-to-day activities. Like all sorts of daily routines come under this, taking baths, going here and there, purchasing certain things for food and all those things, you know, whatever it is. Daily routines, they come. And the results are also spontaneously will be getting the results. So this is called current karmas, kriyamana. That's by current actions, you will get current results. That is current karmas. And number 1 is accumulated actions or past actions. No? Accumulated, some karmas you do, but you will not get the results. No, they are falling due to you. That's it. We have not experienced, but we will experience in the later time. They are called accumulated karmas. In Sanskrit, they are called sanchita karmas. Sanchita means accumulated. What is the type of karma here? You know, these are short-term durations, you know, short-term karmas. Suppose a boy has written the examination today and he will not get results immediately. He will have to wait for 3 months for getting the results. So this is sanchita karma for him. So that will be out after 3 months. Then he will reap the result, isn't it? Like that, certain actions, they will fall due and they will be happening in physicality after some duration of time, short duration of time. They are called sanchita karma. And third variety of karmas, whatever current and past karmas, which will have a longer time to generate, okay. To manifest the results, it will take longer times. It may spread even years together also. Sometimes even if it will go to the next janma also, next lifetime. So the karmas are not immediately enjoyable, immediately experienced. You are doing today, and it will not come even after 1 year, 2 years, like that. Sometimes you'll not come, you will not face in this lifetime. Some other lifetime, it is happening. Suppose a bad karma is there. Suppose somebody has murdered somebody and goes on escaping. It may happen that he will not be caught in this lifetime, but in the next lifetime, he will not escape that. He will be caught, and he will be meeting the experience of that action in the next life, any kind of lifetime. But he will have to experience that. There is no question. Understand? So it is like that. Karmas that result long after event, in the next incarnation, etc., individually or in one lot. Individually or in one lot. Suppose some person has done hundreds of bad karmas. So there is some sort of facility in the law of karma that instead of experiences 100 karmas individually, they are all consolidated and a mass, only one kind of punishment will be given to him in reply to the 100 karmas. That is mostly we are seeing, Suppose a boy takes birth, blind eye. See, at the time of birth itself, he loses his eye. But what kind of action he has done in this birth time? Nothing. But this is the result of his actions of the previous life. Now he got the punishment of losing one eye. You understand? So that is as a result of so many actions of bad karma he has done in the past life. Now he has to experience for the whole life. See, for the whole life he has to experience the bad karma. That is how this long-term karmas, that is called prarabdha karma in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit we call it as prarabdha. Fate, we call it as a fate or destiny. Like that. The whole destiny will cover the sentence of the punishment. The whole life he will have to experience. Sometimes, till such time it is due, it will be experienced. Afterwards, he will be getting relief. There are three kinds of actions: good, bad, and mixed karmas. Good karmas make you a god or angel in heaven. Good karmas gives you a better position in the upper worlds. So always do good karmas. And bad karmas will throw you in the lower wombs, So in the lower realms you have to go, where there is no light or where there is no like that, small insects living in the underground of the earth. Okay, it happens. Mixed karmas can give you human birth. Either this and that, you have done something good, something bad. Then you will have to experience the good and bad in the form of human life. Okay. So you have to take birth as a human and again experience that equally. So no action will go escaped. And also, my dear masters, kindly understand that good karma will not offset the bad karma. You have done a lot of good karma, you have done a lot of good serving so many people, and then you rob other section of people. This will not offset. For the good you have done, you will get good result. For the bad you have done, you have to experience the bad. There is no escape from that. That's why you will have to take rebirth for experiencing the good and bad in case of mixed karma. If you rob a man and feed the people, if you earn money by unlawful means and build a temple for a hospital, it is a mixed action. Every work is a mixture of good and bad karma. Okay. If you do like that, then you will have to take birth of human again and again and again. You will have to experience the result of the good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. The bad will not go, good will not go. You will have to experience. Again, you have to take birth. So you must do such works that can drive you only to the good. So that's why avoid doing bad karma so that you will not come back to the human life. Okay. But one thing is certain here, good karma cannot avoid rebirth. Why? Because good karma, again, you have to experience, isn't it? Bad karma, you have to experience. Only the good karma, you will be given some sort of a good position in your upper worlds, but you will have to come back to experience again the good. That is the reason you have to do great karma in order to get out of the life, in order to get no rebirth of life. Great karmas, they are related to enlightenment. The great karmas, you should do it. What is great karma? The universal work, you should do it. Universal work is nothing but a sort of enlightening the whole world. Okay. You should understand the whole world. Then only you can do the universal work. The great work can be done by a person who understands the whole universe. If he understands only his family, he can only do the work of his own family. If he understands only one set of people, then you can do good for only one set of people. But if you understand the whole world, then you will have a veracity of work, then you will have, a great work that leads you to the enlightenment. Then karmic provisos. It is provided that you get back what you do. If you do good, you get back. If you do bad, you will get bad. You can choose what you wish to do. That is what there is a choice for you. The choice is called free will. Free will is equal to wisdom. Wisdom is choosing right and wrong. See, this is how a free will is considered to be wisdom. You have facility of free will. You have the wisdom to choose right and wrong. That you should exercise. Suppose if you do not have wisdom properly, then you lose the faculty of choosing right and wrong. Then when you don't choose properly, then you will fall into doing mixed actions or wrong actions, whatever it is. That is how it happens. You cannot assume what the result is, of course. So whatever you do, normally you are going to get it back. But what kind of result you cannot expect, because the kind of result is pertaining to, again, the series of actions you do. You understand? The order of preference, you will be forgetting, but today morning you have abused a child, your own child. And then you went to the office, you did some good work. Like that, you are doing some bad and some good works, bad and good works like that. At the end of the day, you go to the temple, pray the God for well-being. And then while returning to the home, you meet with an accident. And you will think, just now I had gone to the temple and I met this accident. So the result is not understood. You have done a good work of going to the temple, but received the bad effect of that. That is not the effect of going to the temple, my dear masters. Why? Because you forgot that maybe the effect of the bad work you have done in the course of the day. In the morning, you have cursed your own child, and that child felt unhappy, felt violent. She felt very bad, So you have to face the same result now. That's why you are meeting with some sort of bad situation. It is like that. So every action will have repercussion, but when and how is according to the occurrence, or sometimes according to the short term and long term, like that. So we will not be remembering all these things. We do numberless karmas, and we can't keep memory of that, and which one should come early, which one should come later. All these things we will not be able to understand. That's why there is a lot of arrangement is made in the divinity that everything will be taken care of. All these things will be recorded in a book called Akashic Record. There is a provision in the divine cosmic governance for maintaining the cosmic Akashic record of all the individuals. Whatever they have done, it will be going for action, for repercussion, for giving the result. So it will be followed in toto. You cannot sustain your body unless you keep working. That's whatever we have already discussed. Work is a must. Errors are like smoke with fire. Yeah, sometimes, the rule is that you should be always keep working, but when you do the work, you can sometimes do a wrong thing, or you can make errors in that. So in the guise of errors, you should not stop working. Fearing the errors, you cannot stop the work. You should continue the work even though errors are there. You should jump into work first of all. So don't worry about the errors. Why? Because there is an example. What is the example they have given here? You see, suppose if you want a fire, you lit, and with the fire there will be a smoke in the beginning. You cannot have the fire without a smoke in the beginning. So you cannot work without errors in the beginning. Everything is a trial and error. And later on, after some time, the fire will be pure with the smoke disappearing. Smoke will go away and only pure fire you will be getting. It is like that. After you do the work, after understanding that, then all your mistakes, errors will be understood and they will be removed, and you will be landing into a perfect work. Understand? So work must be done with love to be excellent. Okay? And if you want to give a taste to that, and if you want the work to be acceptable to everyone, then you must have love with that. Wholeheartedly you should work. Any kind of work should be done with willingness. So this is the, so work is a must. And even though errors are there, you should not stop it. You should jump into starting the work. Sarvarambhahi sadoshena. Sarvarambhahi sadoshena. See, all work start with some sort of mistakes. That's what he says in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Dhumena agniriva avrutaha. Dhuma means smoke is there in the fire, We cannot remove the smoke with from the fire in the beginning. Afterwards, the smoke will get away and you will get fire. That's like that. So there may be some errors in every work which you start doing it. But by and by, the errors will go and you will end up into doing excellent work. And this work should be done with willingness, wholeheartedly. That is what we should do. So these are the qualities of a work to be done. And karmic footprints, our karmic footprints. Yeah, our karmic footprint is the sum total of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Karmic footprint, See, my dear masters, having come to the Earth planet, you should have some sort of a mark on the Earth planet. What is the footprint? That means wherever you go, some print is made out of your walking, isn't it? Out of your feet. Wherever you lay, there will be some sort of impression of the foot. That sort of impression should be there before you go, before you leave the planet. What does it mean? How it is done? All your good work will be the footprints there. All your thoughts, your speaking, doing, and everything, whatever your actions, karma, whatever karma you do, it will leave the impression on the people of the planet. Okay. For example, Gautama Buddha has laid a footprint of non-violence. Ahimsa paramo dharma. He has put Anapanasati. He has put another imprint on the people of the various countries across the world. So that is the footprint. Mahatma Gandhi laid a footprint. He never lied, He said, always I will tell the truth. He laid a footprint like that. And he also followed that I don't have ill will against anyone. He will not hate anybody. That is the footprint. Wonderful man. And we call him as a Mahatma because of his impression he has laid on the people of the country and people of the entire globe. Today, Mahatma Gandhi is revered and remembered across the globe. Why? Because his impression was like that. So all of us should have that kind of impressions we should keep, we should lay by our own actions. This is called karmic footprint. Okay, my dear masters. And what is karmic returns? Karmic returns are action and intentions are the cause of result. Our own action is a result of our own thoughts, isn't it? And results occur in sequence of occurrences. That's what I have already explained, that you do so many actions, but your results will be coming according to the sequence of actions, which we forget. So we attribute the current karma to the current action only, but it may belong to the earlier action. It is like that. Okay. You may do good, but you may not get the result of that immediately. It comes when it is due. The present result is of earlier action and intention. We attribute wrongly to the present action always, because we remember only that. As we do not remember earlier actions, we attribute to the current action. That's not correct. Sometimes your actions are long-term actions. It will not come immediately. And long-term means you forget whatever you have done. And when the result comes also, you forget about it. That's how, sometimes you get a sort of a reward and you don't know why reward has come actually. Reward of good life partner, you got it, luckily. You don't know how you got a good wife. Okay. That is only your own actions, Baba. You have done something good in the past life. You got a reward in the shape of a good life partner. It is like that. A good son, you get how? By dint of your own actions, either now or in the past. Your own actions will be getting rewards, okay, in the shape of such kind of developments. Okay, so we should be very careful. If you are doing good, it will not go without waste, it will not go waste at any point of time. Now or later, you will be reaping that. Karmic returns, for every action there is a result. If there is no result, there will be a reward out. That's what we are going to take. Suppose if you are not finding any result now, it will definitely carry reward for you. For every cause there is an effect. If an effect is seen without any cause now, then it must be of previous life. See, you got some lottery of 1 crore. And the cause is somewhere in the previous life. Now you have not done anything. Okay. You just a lottery, just like that it has come. No effort. But the effort was in the previous. Already it is there. That's why you got it. Simply it will not come. It is like that. For every cause there is an effect. If an effect is seen without any cause, then it must be of the previous life. Okay. If the cause is there without result, then the result will accrue in the next month. Suppose you have done a lot of good work, but you did not, and you left the body, but your good work will not go waste. Again, it will come in the next life, isn't it? That is like that. See, somebody does a murder and he will be in the 5-star hotel without getting caught. So how do you understand this? He is a murderer, but what is his lifestyle? He is residing in a 5-star hotel. How can you justify this? It is like that. It is not with any rationality, my dear masters. Whatever he has done something good in the past, he is now enjoying being in the 5-star hotel. But now what he has done in this lifetime, murdering others, he will reap this when that is due. After this, it will come. Either in the same life or in the next life. He will have to experience. It will not go. It will be there in the Akashic record. It is there already. Okay. It's like that. Karmic debts, all kinds of actions, karmas, which are not reaped, to form part of karmic debts. All the debts which are not experienced are falling under the category of debt. Always a seed germinates. Every action generates experience. One has to face without any exception. So when once you sow the seed, the tree will come definitely. but not immediately. And you can't say when it generates. Germination takes place at some point of time. You understand? But when and where we cannot. Some seeds will germinate fast, some seeds will germinate for years together, it will wait. A coconut tree takes a lot of time to germinate. You understand? So like that, your good work definitely will give result, but when we cannot say. So when they experience, they will clear the debts. So when once it happens, the debt is cleared. There is karmic bondage is there. What is the bondage? My dear masters, kindly see this. This man is enjoying the life in a luxurious style. Here, somebody is in a very bad shape of life. He is suffering from poverty. Here, small kids, they are begging. Okay. They are facing a lot of sorrow in their life. Okay. They are children. They have not done anything. They are starting their life. But from the beginning, they are in sorrow. This boy is experiencing agony of the eye loss, isn't it? So he lost his eye right from the birth. Here, this madam is enjoying riches. She enjoys the riches of gold and etc. Not only for herself, she also gave that sort of riches to her pet dog also. Okay, animals also enjoying along with her. Okay, so this is the rich. Somebody is poor, somebody is rich. Somebody is luxury, somebody is very suffering from poverty. It is like that. Why is this difference? What is this difference? How can you understand that all are equal like that? There is no equality here. Okay. How to understand this question? Why? Because our own karmic debts create a bondage. Whatever we have to do, that we have to experience. That's why this bondage is there always. Karma and effect, they are bound together. So this bondage we have to break. We have to do always good karma, or always karma which will not have bondage. There are certain karmas which do not have bondage. That's what we are going to understand now. Bondage comes normally for every action, and there is a result. If you do good, you will get good experience. Yes or no? So that is under bondage. Now in the previous slide, somebody is begging. That's a bondage of those children's bad work in the past life. So the bondage is there. They are carrying the bondage and experiencing now. So we create our own realities by our own actions. No one is to blame. Here nobody is there in between our karma and our experiences. There is nobody. Our own life, our own actions are responsible. Law of karma operates. Then what is the way out? There should be some way out now. What is the karmic release? Such bandage is there. The bondage, how to escape? This sort of bondage can be escaped through nishkama karma. Karma phala tyaga, it is called. Nishkama karma is equal to karma phala tyaga in Sanskrit. Any work without expectations of result is not forming any bondage. So if you do something good and do not expect any result for that, then there will not be any bondage. You understand? So you don't reap the result of that action. So it will go away, no bondage. Now you are free now. You can go. You need not come back to experience that. Suppose you have given some 1,000 rupees as a help to somebody, and you don't expect that money to come back to you. So you should say, okay, you keep it for you, don't return to me. Then you are not expecting anything. Then You are free now. Otherwise, you have to be after him. Give me, give me, give me like that. If you die also, you'll have to take rebirth to get that 1,000 rupees from that fellow. You see? So this bondage will be getting away. It will be removed. The moment you expect nothing from him, you now itself you said, I don't want. Then you are free. You need not remember that fellow. And you need not come back to ask for that money. So you are free. So this is called nishkama karma. That is a karma without expectation out of that anything. This kind of karma will relieve you from the bondage of your own action. Okay. So these are called, nishkama karma. Renunciation of results of any work done entails karmic relief in respect of such work. Renunciation means giving up the results. That's it. Giving up the result of what you are doing. Okay. That is what is called renunciation. Any work subjected to dharma is exempted from its bondage. So whenever you are working in dharma, what is dharma? Dharma is non-application of violence. That is called dharma. Okay. No hurting others is called dharma. Ahimsa paramo dharma. So no violence. Anywhere, any action which does not result in hurting others, in violence of others, you are escaping the result of that. Okay. That is most important. Okay. Karma palachaga is the key of karmic relief. This is called nishkama karma. So there is one way of solution is there. You can avoid the bondage. You can do some work and forget the result. Then you need not experience that. So even if you do good, if you expect the result of that, then there is a bondage. You will have to experience that. You don't expect any result of even the good also. Then you need not bother about it. Then you are setting yourself free without coming in the next incarnation for experiencing that. Understand? That is the reason. So we should say, you do all the work and don't ask any expectations. You say, Krishna Arpanam. That's it. Everything, whatever you do, you give, you do a lot of help to others and don't expect any help back to you. Okay. You should not expect that fellow, I have helped him, but he is not wishing me. Gone. You are expecting something from him. Then if you expect something, it is coming under the term business. You should not do business in the society. Okay. You should not do business in your kind of behavior. But when once you are working under somebody under certain agreements, that means you have framed some agreement that I do this work and you have to pay this much of money, and that is the end of the agreement. In that, this sort of things will not apply. That goes with the conditions of the work. Don't confuse yourself. If you say, no, don't expect any results, that means that you should take up a job and don't ask any money for that. In which way your body cannot be nourished. And you should have a proper remuneration for a proper work you do under specific agreement. That becomes an agreement. That is called business. Okay. But otherwise, you should not do business. Suppose if you want somebody ask your help, you have helped and you should not expect it from others. That is very wrong. There you are creating a bondage again. So that is what the lesson says. Say Krishna Arpanam from that. Krishna means Atma. It is not Krishna, somebody. No Arjuna and Krishna is there here. Krishna is a name for Atma. Even Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says to Arjuna that I am not Krishna Baba. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashraya Stitaha. Aham Adisya Madhyasya Bhutanam Anta Evacha. That is what he was telling. He is not Krishna. He is only pure energy consciousness. Atma. That's it. Krishna Arpada means you are letting it go to Atma. That's it. How many Atmas are there? Everywhere Atma is there. So everybody you are distributing the result there. So everybody will become due to you. Okay. So then everybody will give in the shape of reward sometime. They return to you. Then that will become a very high reward for you. It can be in a subtle form, like having a good girl in your match, okay, for marriage, in marriage, get good partner, good sons, good friend, indeed, How? A way better, a guy, an advice in time, how it comes, provided that you are entitled to that by means of some good work in the past without any expectations, like that. So these are all so many rewards are there, my dear masters. Kindly be in the know of all these things. Spiritual science you should be understanding in toto, so that your life will be completely a matter of enlightened life, okay, and happy life. Karmic benefits, evolution of self-consciousness, balancing the karmic influence on the humanity. We can change our destiny if we adopt Nishkama Karma and meditation. Okay, Nishkama Karma is elevating you to the next level of consciousness. Okay, now you need not have the bondage of karmic karma. Okay, and we can solve the puzzle of karmic circle and go on. So we can change the bondage. Okay, the cause and effect will change. Only cause we do it and no effect, because we don't expect that. Then we are breaking the chain of law of cause and effect. Okay, so by that we land up into pure higher consciousness, evolution of consciousness. So what is the relief? Relief is, what is the way out? The relief is Nishkama Karma for all the present karmas. All the present karmas, you don't expect anything, then that will not create bondage and you will enjoy the life. And you need not come back to the present life again for experiencing that. And number two is meditation you have to take up to liberate one from the past karmas. Already you have done something, you do not know, you have done. Now, today I came to know Nishkama Karma is the way of escaping the repercussion of effect of my own karmas. Fine. So I do now without expecting. But they are only present karmas can be saved. But what about the past karmas? For that, there is a provision in law of karma that you must do meditation. If you do meditation, the past karmas will be burned. So, my dear masters, meditation is so helpful. That is the weapon to given to us, okay, that will tear out the effect of the past karmas. Maybe some previous karma, previous to that, any number of lifetimes in the past, all karmas will be burnt. All karmas, good and bad, will be burnt. So good also burned because we need not again come back to experience that. Bad karmas is burned because we need not experience again in the next lives. So all the good and bad karmas, whatever available in our accumulated karmas, everything will be burned in the past. Aham brahmeti vijnanat kalpakoteshaterapi sanchitam vilayam yati. Sanchitam vilayam yati. All the accumulated karmas will burn away. My dear masters, kindly understand, meditation alone will be able to save you from the past karma without without undergoing the experiences of the past karmas. Okay. One more example, a southern master from India and soil, Shankaracharya, he says, Yatha Suvarnam Patupaka Shodhitam Malam Chektva Swatma Gunam Samruchati. He says like this, just like a gold, when it is heated, it will regain its beautiful shining again. The more and more it is burnt, it will get all his impurities nullified and then shine with the brightness further. Tathaiva, in the same way, manaha, our own mind, tataha manaha, sattva rajo tamo malam chektva, sattva rajo tamo malam chektva. We have got three gunas in us, sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, like that. These gunas, these attributes, these things, we will leave it. Sorry. Manaha chektva. So they will be disappearing from us when we are in meditation. Like gold losing its impurities, we also lose this kind of impurities of sattva, rajo, tamo gunas. But once it is done, dhyanena, in meditation it happens. Dhyanena sameti, dhyanena, all dualities will become single, and Spurtihi ayattataha shyat, and our own shape will come, Godhood will come out. So this is how, people have expressed and explained and described the uh, surprising powers from the eternal powers of meditation. Understand? Yeah. So meditation is a technology to call. Yes. So meditation will give you the radiation of the inner energies, okay, from your inner side. Atmic energies will be made available to the mind to think well, to speak well, to do the well. Understand? So these sort of things will remove the bondage of law of karma and all those things, and burn the past, all sorts of karmas, bad and good karmas, effect of all those things will get away. These energies wipe out all past karmas and create new ideas. Okay. So you can change your thoughts and have a destiny, new destiny. Otherwise, you will be followed by the old karmas. Whatever you do, you have to experience, no? So you will be going on experiencing. But once you understand meditation is there for you, when you are in meditation and you do nishkama karma, then you change your ideas and you need not be dependent on the past karma's experiences. You can create new experiences for your new actions based on the new thoughts. So you can change the destiny. So law of karma provides to change your destiny. Now the children, they need not lose their eyesight right from the birth. Why? Because he has not done meditation. That's why he has to experience that. Then he has to go on suffer. He has to suffer throughout the life. If this boy comes to know about the meditation, then he will be getting a sort of a new lease of life. Okay, his things will change, and he will be finding some solace in this. And from now onwards, his life will take turn by good karmas, by good thoughts, good experiences. Understand? Like that. So meditation is the ultimate weapon to remove all the effect of karmic bondage and all effect of bad karmas of the current life, including those of the past life. Okay. So that is the reason there are 2 points to remember: nishkama karma for the present karmas and meditation for the old karmas. These kind of things will definitely help you in escaping the repercussions of your karmas. Okay. And with that, you can change the life towards better. Okay. That is what the law of karma is providing us. It's very important. Don't misunderstand that law of karma is, we have to experience the karma, whatever we do, there is no escape for this, like that. Don't repent on like that. You can escape always. There is a provision by 2 means, nishkama karma and meditation. Don't forget about it. This video, let us see now.
จูน จูน
เธอชื่อเจน เป็นนักศึกษาปีที่ 4 เธอเป็นคนเก็บตัว ไม่สุงสิงกับใคร พอถึงเวลาเลิกเรียน เธอก็มักจะรีบกลับบ้านเร็วเสมอ
จูน
คนก็นินทากันว่า เธอมีลูกตั้งแต่อายุ 18 บางคนก็บอกว่าเธอมีลูกกับเสีย
รับสอนเด็กป่ะ
เสื้อนี่เขาบอกว่าแม่กับลูกด้วย
เธอเป็นผู้หญิงธรรมดาคนหนึ่ง ไม่ใช่คนสวย ไม่ได้โดดเด่นอะไร แต่รอยยิ้มที่เธอมีให้จูน มันทำให้เธอเป็นผู้หญิงที่สวยมากสำหรับผม เจน ทำไมเธอไม่บอกความจริงทุกคนไปเลยอะ
ความจริงเรื่องอะไร
เรื่องจูน
ไม่เห็นน้องบอกว่าจะบอกไหมอะ
คนอื่นก็จะมองเจนไม่ดีนะ คนอื่นก็จะมองเจนไม่ดี
ให้คนอื่นเขามองเราไม่ดียังดีกว่ามองจูนไม่ดีปะ